Welcome back! Now we'll start really graphing. How did that first set of homework go for you? Hopefully you watched them and you feel good. Alright, but now we're going to really officially graph, okay? Know what your graph should look like. This is part 3. Find it in your notes, please, and let's graph. Know what your graph should look like. Label your x and y axes, and this is not your typical x and y axes, so make sure I'm going to star that. Amplitude intervals and periods, I'm going to mark that too, and don't forget your critical points, CP, should be labeled on your graph. At least 5 points, the critical points, have to be labeled, okay? We're going to start with the baby example, and this is number 52 from your textbook, and it's y equals 2 cosine x minus 3. Just keep in mind the form, right? So it looks like I wrote the d last. That's okay, right? A cosine bx minus c minus d, right? Plus d, okay? All right, so you guys, first thing you're going to do when you're graphing, first, I always use this method. It's a peanut butter, all right? So we're going to do a peanut butter first, okay? Also, don't forget to write this form. A cosine b x minus c over b plus d, just so you know the phase shifts, okay? So you guys, a peanut butter, all right? Only if you write it this way could you identify the, you can either way, okay? But A is amplitude, and that's 2. Your period is going to be 2 pi over b. That means you need b. What's our b? Our b is 1, right? Because there's nothing in front of our x there, okay? And so that means our period is going to be 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. And your first step is finish. Oh, but you know what, you guys? A peanut butter, and let's do a little extra here. Let's add the midline, okay? The midline, and you guys remember midline is like your new 0, right? But isn't it used to be d equals 0, right? It used to be d equals 0. But what's our d now? It's negative 3. So that means our y is going to equal negative 3. All right? So our y is negative 3. That's our midline. Okay? Because y equals d. Okay? All right. Let's go to second step. Second step is going to be, this one's very important. Okay? This one is going to tell us the start and end. You'll see what I mean, okay? So we're always going to start at 0, and we're going to go to 2 pi, right? So basically, there's 2 ways to write this. 0 is less than or equal to bx minus c is less than or equal to 2 pi, okay? Or you can go 0 is less than x minus c over b, and then to whatever your period is. It just so happens for this case, our period is 2 pi, okay? This is how I set it up usually, okay? So our case, we could just write it this way, right? Because we don't have any c over b. We don't have any phase shift, so we're going to just do 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 2 pi. All right? Okay. This is our start. This is our end. Okay? You'll see what I mean by that. Okay? So know what to expect. You're to cosine, so you know it's going to go something like that. Okay? All right. Now let's do third step. Third step is your interval. It's very important. So basically, you're finding your 5 critical points. Interval, CP, all right? Your third step is going to be that. So interval, INT, is going to equal your period, always your period, over 4. What is your period? Your period is 2 pi over 4, because there's going to be, starting 0, there's going to be 4 other critical points, which make 5, which is going to be pi over 2. So here's what I mean by that. So 5 CPs are going to be here. It's going to start at 0 because there was no phase shift, and it's going to go pi over 2. You're going to add pi over 2 to every next point. And then pi, right? So pi over 2 plus another pi over 2 is going to give us 3 pi over 2 plus another pi over 2 from that is going to be 4 pi over 2, which is 2 pi. Okay? And you should know that this is a cosine graph. That means this guy must be our max. This guy must be our mid. This guy must be our min. This guy must be our mid again. And then it goes back to max. Max to max. Okay? All right. So now we're ready to begin. Okay? Let's graph this sucker. I'm going to graph this at the bottom here. Okay? Fourth step. So fourth, let's graph. Okay? Fourth, let's graph. Okay? I'm going to move this up a little bit, okay? So you guys, all you do is you set up your graph like this. And I always make this guy, midline, my shift. wasn't there a phase shift of down 3? Vertical shift. So I'm going to make this guy negative 3. What's the amplitude? The amplitude was 2. That means 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't need to show any more. That means if this guy is negative 3, this must be negative 2, this must be negative 1, this guy must be negative 4, this must be negative 5. Okay? And I started at 0 because there was no phase shift left and right. And my first critical point was 0, right? 0, 0, but isn't it max first? So 0, and amplitude is 2, right? So remember, amplitude is 2. So I'm going to actually start from my max. And then I'm going to actually, let's actually write our 5 critical points. That was 0. And our next one was pi over 2. Our next one was 3 pi over 2. Oh, sorry. Next one was pi, okay? Next one was pi. Next one was 3 pi over 2. And next one was 2 pi. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 critical points. This guy is 0, max, 0. This guy is going to be our mid, and our max again. So let's actually follow that. And it should look like this. But what if I wanted you to graph for me 2 full periods? This is only 1 period, right? So then you would just keep going. Okay? You don't have to label those points anymore for me, but you should know that this is going to be what? 5 pi over 2. You add another pi, that's 3 pi. That's going to be what? 7 pi over 2. That's going to be 4 pi. So let's continue that. If I said 2 full periods, either left to right, you need to add more periods. So that means it's going to go max, mid, max. So it's going to keep going this way. Same with the other direction, okay? Sometimes I say give me 2 periods. Sometimes I give you like negative 2 pi to 2 pi interval. That means you have to graph me within that way. That means 2 pi this way and then 2 pi to the left of the 0. So this guy is going to continue that way too. So you have to draw arrows like this to indicate that it goes on forever. And you have to also label these points for me. 0, negative 1. This guy is going to be pi over 2 because these are critical points, right? And then this guy is going to be pi, negative 5. This guy is going to be 3 pi over 2, 0. This guy is going to be 2 pi and negative 1. So our max is negative 1. Our min is negative 5, okay? All right, you guys, let's try another graphing example. So go to your next example for me. Your next example is number 60. Oh, no, example 1. And I have this guy for you. Try to follow those methods that I just showed you, okay? All right? Let's try this one, all right? But we're going to go in the same order. But you guys, look, I want you to go from negative pi to 2 pi from you on this one, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go same thing, and I'm going to also write the original equations. I'm only going to write the one for sine. So it's going to be, I'm going to write it in the order A sine B x minus c over b, okay? Or y, plus d, okay? A sine bx minus c is equal to plus d, okay? However you want it. First step, okay? Peanut butter. Peanut butter. Your amplitude is 2. Remember, it doesn't matter what if it's negative or positive, right? Our period is 2 pi over b, but b is 2 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, because it's everything in front of the x. That means now we can figure out it's 2 pi over 2 pi over 3, which is 3. That's our first step. Okay? Our midline, let's do that extra little step. Midline, well, there is no vertical shift, so y equals 0. Okay? That makes it easy for us. All right, next, let's go to second step. What is the second step called? Our start and end, right? Our start and end. Start, end, okay? So you guys, we're going to see, where does it start? There was no phase shift, so it's going to be 0 is less than or equal to 2 pi x over 2 pi, or x, right, less than or equal to 3. Let's do it this way. This is our, actually, what am I doing? Let's not do it this way just yet. So let's just break it down a little bit, okay? Isn't it 0 less than or equal to 2 pi x over 3 less than or equal to 2 pi. Think about this for a sec, okay? This indicates the period of a sine. This indicates what kind of, what's in here, right? Because it's going to shift that way, okay? It's going to tell us the cycles, really, okay? Or another way to do it is if you write this guy in this form, which is like this. Isn't this really y equals negative 2 sine 2 pi over 3 x, like that. Okay? So it's really our b, our x right here that we're worried about, because this should indicate our phase shifts. Okay? So really, you could write it this way. 0 is less than or equal to, x is less than or equal to R3, which is our period. My period, your period, our period, okay? And this x right here. So whatever's in here goes here, okay? So there's two ways. I personally like this way because even you guys, when you solve this, when you simplify this for x, you know what you get, right? You actually get this. When you simplify this for x, you get this. Check that, okay? So that's this is what I need. This is your start. This is your end, okay? Third step is your interval. You'll see what I mean when I do the interval too. So you guys, let's do the interval and also your CP, okay? So interval is going to equal your period, which is 3, divided by what? I'm sorry, let's do that. Let's do period over 4. Period over 4. Okay? It's going to be 3 over 4. Done. Okay? So let's write our 5 points. Okay, where do we start? We start at 0. We end at 3. That's already been given there. But what's our period? We're going to add 3/4 every time. Plus 3/4, plus 3/4, and so forth to get to the next one, okay? So what do we end up here? It's 3/4, right? What's this guy? Well, what's 3/4 plus 3/4? It's going to be 6/4. I'm just going to write like this, and 9/4, right? And then we eventually get to here because 3/4 plus that. You can simplify that, but I'm just writing it so that it's easier for you to do this way. In sine, it starts at 0, doesn't it? So it's going to be mid, and it goes down first, and then it goes back to mid, and then it goes to max, right? And then it goes to mid, because sine always looks like this, okay? Oops. Sorry. Oh, but this one's negative. That's why this one's negative. You guys, our amplitude is negative. That means it goes down first, right? That's why this is the case, all right? Now, let's take this and let's graph, all right? I'm going to do it on a separate sheet, okay? Keep that with you. I'm going to put it at the bottom here, and I'll graph on top. So you guys, again, draw it this way, okay? And y equals 0. What's our maximum? 2, right? And what's our minima? -2. And draw in your critical point. 0, 3/4, right? 6/4, 9/4. And space it out better than that, okay? 3. All right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 critical points, okay? And it says go to 2 pi. But you guys, 2 pi is about, that's a little bit far. So you know what to do, right? 2 pi is 6.14, so you're going to have to go a little bit more. I wouldn't do that to you. Maybe let's go up to pi, which is about right here. So that means pi is about somewhere here, right? So we're going to have to go to about there. And let's cross that out. Let's make it pi. And negative pi, which means this way the same way. So -3/4, right? -6/4. And then we're going to go to negative pi. Negative pi to pi. All right, so let's plug our critical points. Ready? So we're going to go, it's negative. That means we start at 0, but we go down first to the mid. 0 again, max, and then our mid. So we have our beautiful sine graph here. Okay? Okay? All right. But you guys, you have to kind of show me that it's going this way up until the pi. Okay? That's good. And then the same thing. We from mid, we go up, right? We go down. We go down again, and then we go back up. And that's our graph on the other side. And you're going to have to go again about negative pi direction, like that. Okay? And there's our sine graph. Again, make sure critical point, 0, 0. 3/4, -2. 6/4, 0. 9/4, +2. Okay, make sure you write that for me until here, 3, 0. Okay, make sure you guys label all that. All right, let's try another one. Isn't this fun? I think graphing sine and cosine is very fun.